Hi, this is Marty Schupak from Schupak Sports and T-Ball America. And on our YouTube channel, we discuss sports. We discuss giving sports tips, some parenting and instruction. And today we're going to talk about T-ball hitting. But before we do, I like to start out with a little trivia question. As I always say, I love trivia, sports trivia. And I'm not great at it, but I really like trying to figure it out. Since 1950, see if you could come up with naming all the presidents that played a college sport. Okay, so since 1950, think of all the presidents and try to figure out if they played a college sport. See if you can name the sport and name the college, and we'll come back to that at the end. Now, with young kids, and I mentioned this a lot, is that a T-ball is their first organized team sport. So you want to do everything you could to put them in a position to succeed. Too many times I've seen T-ball coaches, they'll separate players and with a hard ball, they'll have them start out having a catch. I experienced two players that got hit, were crying two different times. They never stepped on a baseball or softball field again. So you have to use your head. Okay, you want to use soft balls, soft covered balls, incredible balls, T-ball balls, but be smart. In hitting, again, you want them to succeed. Just remember too, in hitting a T-ball, there are no style points. Try not to overdo it. And when I talk about hitting in T-ball, I'm also talking about pre-T-ball. A lot of us parents are overzealous when we have a son or a daughter, if we played high school or college sports, and we want them to be good at the sports that we played. Don't overdo it. And when I say there's no style points in hitting, I'll just give you a little story. And by the way, we're going to go through 10 quick drills on this. And on this Schupak Sports segment, I try not to go beyond 15 or 25 minutes. Try to give you as much content as we could. And I put links at the end of the video. So any of my products, and I'll go into that later. But what you want to do, and I say no style points, I'll tell you, my grandson, I was up at my daughter's house. And of course, I always bring out the T-ball tee and the bat, and he's 4 years old, and he starts swinging off the tee, and I started him with a plastic bat and a wiffle ball, I think it was, and it was a plastic ball, and he held the bat, plastic bat, backwards, and he was swinging, holding the thick part of the bat, hitting it with the handle. My daughter starts, and he was doing well. He was like 3 for 3 or 3 for 4. And I would put it back on the tee. I had a bucket of these balls. And my daughter said, Anthony, you have to hold the bat the other way. I said, Lisa, leave him alone. I said, he's 4 years old. He's hitting the ball. Don't be concerned about the exact method he has to do it. Okay? He's succeeding in the way he's doing it. So let him do it. And again, that's up to a point. If you're having a T-ball game, they're going to have to hold the bat the correct way. But again, if you're doing something in your backyard, don't be overconsumed with the exact technique which your son or daughter has to do, especially if they're below 5 years old. You want to use your common sense, and fun is the key word. And if you see my eyes wandering up, it's because, and I say it every week, I have some crib notes on a smartboard that I always look at. Remember also, children develop at different stages. If your neighbor down the street who's friends with your son or daughter is hitting the ball off the tee, or the parent, mother, father is pitching the ball, they're hitting everyone, don't be concerned or overly concerned if your child is not hitting the ball as much as them. Kids develop at different stages. In professional sports, there have been tons of late bloomers who didn't start playing their particular sport till later on. And I always wonder how many kids did coaches, parents, and even myself maybe turn away from a sport that they might have excelled at because we were impatient with them, or that they got frustrated and they got tired of failing. So, your young kids, be patient with them, okay? As far as not just T-ball, any sport also. If you go to one of these big box stores and you see a sign in the sporting goods section that says official T-ball bat, I would ignore it. As far as I know, there's no universal official T-ball bat. You have to go to your league and find out the standards they have for bats, and that's what you want to do. I prefer having a player have a light bat as opposed to a heavy bat. Okay. The other thing I want to mention is that as a parent and as a coach, I want to make sure that my kids have an up-to-date eye test and hearing test. Now, it's a good habit to get into as a coach. Parents will get to know that, Coach Schupak's my coach. Now we're going to go get a hearing test or an eye test. I've had 3 players in my 25 years of coaching where I kind of changed their careers around just because I sent them to the doctor. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with their hitting. And I told the parents, get them an eye test. And these 3 players, after they came back, one wore glasses and 2 of them wore contacts. They were different players. It was unbelievable. And a little story, years ago, the great coach, Vince Lombardi, had a running back, Larry Brown, who really checked all the boxes as far as quickness and knowing what to do. But Vince Lombardi noticed that Larry Brown was a little hesitant when he got the ball in practice, trying to hit the hole. And what he did was he had him get a hearing test. And sure enough, Larry Brown's hearing was below normal. Vince Lombardi went to the NFL office and he got permission to install some sort of hearing mechanism in the helmet. And if you look it up, and I know a lot of you are younger than me, but your father or grandfather could tell you, Larry Brown became an incredible back. So it's not necessarily what exactly is they're doing on the field. It could be some sort of physical ailment that we're not sure about, but get into the habit. And I know most kids have good vision when they're 5 or 6 years old, but it's a great habit as a parent and as a coach to ask your parents to get an eye test or a hearing test. Okay, I'm going to go over 10 drills very quick. I'm going to try to hold it up. I might block my face, and I'll try to talk behind it. T-ball hitting drills. This is the basics of basics. Okay, and by the way, this is from a book, which I have a link down at the end. T-ball drills, which don't go out and buy it if you can't afford it. Go to your library. Tell them my name, Marty Schupak. Tell them the title. They get it for you. It's free on Amazon, their ebook thing, whatever it is. If you're a member of it, you can see it for free. Okay, first drill, I do the tape drill. And all I do is I have 3 different color tapes on a tee. And this is the first thing I do with a player, and I do it with a plastic bat. And I'll have like a red piece of tape, and it's painter's tape, which you could get at any hardware store, red, blue, and yellow. And I separate them. You really can't see it that close on this picture, but I'll tell the player, I'll tell my grandson, hit the yellow tape, and he swings and hits it. I'll say, hit the red tape, he swings and hits it. You can only do this for like 5 minutes, but it's very, very effective. And just so you could see, I took the neck of a tee, I put 2 different color tapes on it. I didn't have painter's tape, but that's what it would look like, but you want to put 3 on it. And it's a good introduction to for a player, a young kid, even 4 years old, to hit a bat. All right. The next one I did with all my kids, it's the bubble hit. And what I did is I took one of these big red plastic bats, and I got a container of bubbles. I went in the backyards, and I tell my son, and my daughter liked it even better than my son. Try to hit the bubbles, and I'd get down low because the bubbles rise, and of course my 4 or 5 year old child was small, and I would blow bubbles and I would back up, and they would swing and they'd hit the bubbles. They love this game, and it's a great tech. And again, don't worry about style points. Just have them swing the bat. Okay, so that's another drill. Okay. Drill number 3, and staying with the bubbles, very similar. I took balloons and I blew them up, and then I start tossing them underhand, and they were hitting me with a plastic bat. Great, a lot of fun to do. The kids like it, especially at the end when they say, okay, now it's time to bust the balloons. Okay, so that's another great drill you could do in your backyard. And one of the things I tell the audience every week is that I do these drills, but what I'm trying to do also is put on your creative hats. I want you to create a few drills, okay? I spent most of my life creating drills using different props and things around the house. I wasn't in a position to go out and buy like an expensive hitting net. I had to make do with what I had. But try to be creative. And when you make something with your son or daughter, they will love doing it with you. And I always tell the story how one of my best memories, my dad always worked like 12, 13 hours a day. But when I wanted a basketball rim, he didn't go out and buy it. We ended up getting a piece of lumber, another as a pole, and another piece of lumber, plywood as a backboard. And I spent like a week to 2 weeks treating it. He showed me how. I dug the hole, and we spent a Sunday putting it together. And it has a lot of good memories, not just playing on my driveway, but just the way we put it together. So you could go out and buy any piece of equipment, but if you make things around the house with your son and daughter, it will resonate them for life. I promise you that. Next drill I call the plunger drill. And some players have a rough time, young kids, 4, 5, or 6, really hitting a regular sized baseball off a tee. Go down, buy a cheap bathroom plunger, put it upside down in the tee, and put a kickball in it or a beach ball. This way, you're putting them in a position to be successful, and they could definitely hit it off. Now, also, after you do a beach ball, you could work your way down to a smaller ball. Very, very effective drill. Okay. And the next one is I call the animal sticker drill. If your son and daughter will play baseball or softball for most of their life going up to high school, they're always going to hear the credo, keep your eye on the ball. And to be honest with you, nothing could be more true, okay? Whether you're hitting a baseball, softball, hitting off a tee, or having someone's pitch to you, you want them to keep your eye on the ball. What I did when I was a T-ball commissioner in our league, one team they were having a hard time with the kid hitting the ball. They checked their vision was fine. And I came up with the idea. I said, look, let's do this. What is your son or daughter like? I forgot if it was a boy or girl. And they told me they loved animals. I said, look, let's do this. Let's put an animal sticker on the ball, and let's tell them to hit the animal sticker. Keep your eye on it. So I did something like this before we took the, and again, I drew it. Okay. And, that's my artwork. But anyway, imagine putting this on a tee. All right. And telling a young player, keep your eye on the dog, or if it's a cat, keep your eye on the cat. Now swing the bat and hit the cat. Without a doubt, they'll keep their eye on it longer than they normally would. And that's what you try to do. That's a great young habit to get into. All right. And here's a drill I created. I had one of those grabbers. Okay. So with my middle son, Michael, I took the grabber and I would drop tissues down. and the tissues really would float down. And I gave him, again, not a regular plastic bat, but one of those big red plastic bats. And he would swing and he would try to hit it. And sometimes, as you know, where something as light as a tissue comes down, it'll come down in different speeds. So sometimes he would swing more than once. And I would encourage that. Again, it's no three strikes you out, and there are no style points. And also, what I did too, and I don't have it here, but you could roll up a newspaper. You have to get in close, and you could do that. Now, newspapers are going by way of the dinosaurs, but you could still find them. Take an old newspaper, roll it into a ball, do it 2 pages at a time. It's better. And you get close, and you pitch it, and you can hit it. And the thing about newspapers is when you show it to your son or daughter or anyone on your team, the newspaper is very unthreatening. So any fear a young boy or girl has, it should be taken out of it, because they know, and you could show them, if you throw it at them, it's not going to hurt them. The next drill I have is miss the tee. Okay. And what I do is I took a plastic bat, attached a rope at the end, put it over a tee, and I would adjust the height, and I would tell my kids, okay, try to miss the tee, don't hit it, and don't hit the rope. And I started out with the space was a lot, and then I would decrease it, and they like the challenge. Again, this really no more than 5 or 10 minutes at the most. Okay, a lot of these basic drills and games you're not going to do for a long time with the kids. Okay. And the next one, if you want to proceed from the tee and toss them a ball, what I would recommend is the kickball roll. You take a light ball, they have a bat, and you're not pitching it, but you're rolling it down. And again, they're hitting a moving object. This could be their first introduction to hitting a moving object rather than hitting a ball off the tee. Very effective. The kids enjoy doing this. This is a great drill for the summer. I had my kids we were in bathing suits. I had that big red plastic bat. I had the hose, and it's called hit the water spray. And I had my thumb over the hose, and I intermittently sprayed the ball like we're as a pitch, and they had to swing and hit it. They loved it. They got wet. I got wet, but it was a lot of fun. Do it in the summer when it's warm out. It's another creative drill. All right, this is the tennis racket drill. And what I did is I took a cinder block, and cinder blocks, the basic ones, come either 4-inch, 6-inch, or 8-inch. Don't go out and buy it. If you have one under your deck or a neighbor has one, grab it. The 4-inch is the thinnest. They're easy to handle. Your wife could handle it. Your daughter could handle it, but you should handle it. And if you have an old tennis racket, and what I did is I had a bucket of tennis balls. I would bounce the ball up. And again, we're introducing young T-ballers to hitting a moving object, and we want them to be successful. And when after I bounce the tennis ball up, I back away. When the ball comes down, they have to swing the tennis racket and hit it. A lot of fun. And on 2 of my sons, we ended up playing until they were like 12 years old. Hopefully you have a good neighbor, because a lot of the balls will go into their yard. But again, they have a tennis racket. You bounce it straight up. The picture doesn't show going straight up. You bounce it up and you back away, and they swing and they hit it. And again, you put them in a position to succeed. We're going to get to the trivia question, but I just want to give a parent tip. And one of the things I think is incredibly important as parents, what you could do for your son and daughter. I really believe that communication is one of the biggest keys to life. And when I was young, I was an incredibly shy kid, and you couldn't get me to speak up in class. I wasn't a good student at all. I encourage you parents, try to encourage your kids to get involved in any situation where they have to get up in front of class, in front of a crowd, and to speak. And again, a lot of people have a fear of talking in front of crowds. I think it's so important. It'll help them in life further on with their communication. If they're in high school, they have a chance to go on the debate team. I highly recommend it. Listen, I could be wrong, but I'm telling you, if I have a kid that's a great communicator and he's a C student out of a community college, I'd put my money on that kid as opposed to an A student from an Ivy Leaguer. It'll carry you so far in this world if you're a good communicator. Years ago, I had an incredible fear speaking in front of people. I took a course with Dale Carnegie. This is like 40 years ago. I don't even know if they're still around. I assume they are. And then they asked me if I wanted to be a teaching assistant. So I took it again. I helped out. And it kind of changed my life that I became more vocal, more outspoken. I was able to speak better in front of crowds. Not that I could make a speech tomorrow in front of the UN, but again, this is my parental tip of the week. Encourage your kids. Don't force them. Do it in a good way. Try to get them in situations where they have to speak up and they have to communicate, especially in front of a group of people. I think it's just so important these days. Okay, the trivia question was name a president from 1950, all the presidents who played in a college sport in the college. Now I'm going to look up because I have it written up there. I'm going to go through it. First of all, JFK played freshman football at Harvard. We're going to count that. Okay, so that's one. Dwight Eisenhower played football at West Point. So that's two. Gerald Ford played football at Michigan. So that's three. And George Bush, the senior, played baseball at Yale. That's four. And Ronald Reagan, the president, played football at a college called Eureka College in Illinois. So since 1950, there have been five presidents that played a college sport. I'm going to put some links down below. I have a number of videos, some books. If you can't afford it, don't go out and buy it, please. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching this in Schupak Sports. Please let your T-ball commissioners know if you think it's helpful. And please like us, please subscribe, and please give us a thumbs up. Until next time, this has been Marty Schupak for Schupak Sports.